Can someone open up and talk about how they've grown at Hampton, or if you have grown as an individual?
I would say I think I've grown like a lot at Hampton. Being a transfer student, being somebody that came from another school and left school for a little bit of time, I think I came in kind of like with a little bit more of like a mission and intent on what I wanted to do. I do think being around like just the whole Hampton culture, just the whole body of students is just different from the culture I was at before. In that people just kind of had goals that I wasn't really used to. Most of the time, like being from North Carolina, most people's goals is to get to the bigger city in North Carolina. Whereas like you meeting people from that's all over the country, all over the world, that have aspirations of being like from like going to places all over the world. So the opportunities just seemed a lot more bigger than what I've ever heard before, and that made me kind of like work at a different. Work with a different pace, work at a different like work ethic. So I think that in itself is something that I thought about, like something that just kind of helped me improve along the way.
I would say that Hampton really humbled me, honestly. Hampton is like, I mean, we say it's the standard of excellence, but I just feel like everybody is like on their high horse at Hampton. Like everybody is really in their bag at Hampton. So it like has really pushed me to figure out like what else I can do in life, like push myself outside of my comfort zone because everybody's great. So what's gonna make you different? And I think that like now as a senior, it's like how can I use that and apply that to where I'm about to go next year and like what I'm about to do next year. So definitely Hampton has done a good job of just pushing me outside of my comfort zone, like period.
So me personally, I would have to agree with Nini. I feel like I found my uniqueness at Hampton. You know, I feel like if I went to a PWI, then I would have stood out because I was that black kid that did this, that did that. But, you know, you go to Hampton, it's like, you know, we all black. So it's like, what else? You know what I'm saying? Like, we all did things in high school that were great. What else? You know what I'm saying? Like, you look around and it's like people around you that are like-minded continually push you to kind of grow into yourself. So I think I found my uniqueness and kind of where I might be in this world.
Yeah, I want to agree with Keith and Nini. You know what I'm saying? Like, coming from St. Louis, you know what I'm saying? Like, people don't go to college, you feel me? People don't go anywhere for real. Like, they work at McDonald's down the street, you feel me, from their crib. Like, people, I'm like, to be real, you know what I'm saying? Like, people don't have, like, actual futures, you know what I'm saying? So, coming in as a freshman, I was playing lacrosse, you know what I'm saying? I was on a Majestic, you know what I'm saying? I was just trying to do something with my life, you feel me? So, like, as a senior now, it's just like all the things that I have done, like everything that I have done to like matriculate through Hampton, like I feel like I left my mark on Hampton, and I feel like I've made genuine connections. And also like with Hampton, like Hampton is a small campus, so like there's never you can't go to another university and be like, oh, I'm here, I'm in this organization, but like I can go talk to somebody in like athletics, like I can go talk to somebody in journalism. Like our campus is so small, so like we have so many outlets to different resources and stuff like that. So like I feel like I have had like opportunities to like pursue different avenues and like get my hands into different pots to like see what I like the most. You know what I'm saying? So like I feel like I did find who I was as a person at Hampton.
Question is, so now we're gonna get into the love sector at Hampton. Okay, so finding love at okay, or finding listen, y'all, come on. Finding love at an HBCU with the ratio being 4-1, girls to boys. What are some difficulties you've all encountered?
I think with the right level of maturity, there are no difficulties at all.
That's all right.
So what do you men define as mature, though?
He said it.
You guys.
I think maturity is just standing by what you say you're gonna do. I don't think it has any level to it, for real. I think you're just standing by, you know, what you say you're gonna do. I think this is still college, right? So it's not like you expect someone to be a provider. You expect someone to be above what they can really provide at this time in your life. But at the same time, just being a man of your word, standing on what, you know what I'm saying, what your values are from the jump. I think that's a level of maturity in itself.
If I could add on to that, I would say that coming in as a freshman, First of all, 4-1 might be like generous because it might be more than that. Like the ratios. Yeah, no. Damn near 14-1. But it's bad. It's
It was like 10.
regardless. Yeah, it got worse. It got worse. But hold on. Listen. So honestly, like, you know what I'm saying, as a man coming in from high school, a boy, whatever, coming from high school, going to college, and you step into that environment, it can be overwhelming. Honestly, in the best way possible, I might add. But like overwhelming, like nonetheless. And one thing I had to learn was that you can come into school and see a bunch of beautiful women around you and kind of get lost in that, you know? And then you just start wilding out, right? But one thing I've kind of learned to do is build a lot of foundations of friendship. So I'm big on that now at this point. So I feel like finding love, as you might say, like at HBCU, it's about, you know what I'm saying, laying down, planting those seeds of friendship, you know what I'm saying? And seeing what grows into more and what doesn't. You feel what
I think we don't need to focus on the ratio. We don't need to focus on the difficulties. What we need to focus on is our black men going to college. That's the most important part of the... I'm sorry.
I actually agree though, because like, why is that the ratio? That's an issue. 14-1, women outnumbering men. Like, let's get these black men to college. Actually,
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Ooh, okay. If I'm going to bring it back to the question, love specifically at Hampton, if I could give any word of advice to any incoming freshmen and things like that, when it comes to whoever you date, men or women, until they show some pressure, stay single and have fun. Don't romanticize the thing that you're going to find your life partner in college, because you can end up settling for the fact that I found someone in college. Let the actions say what they need to say, and if they don't, have your fun and live your life. Yeah.
Just to piggyback off of what she was saying, you know what I'm saying? Like, one tip for the fellas, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you trying to bag a shorty, like, the one thing that like they always gonna like throw in your face is just like to move with intentions. You feel me? So like, if you really trying to settle down with somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like, just make sure you have genuine intentions, and like, you know what I'm saying, you move with your own word. You know what I'm saying? Like, your word is everything, but you gotta have actions to prove it. You feel me?
I would just say to bring both of the points together, because Sade made a really good point. I think that for women in particular, we do a really good job of like having high standards for like education. Like, we decided to go to Hampton, like real good HBCU. But like, I think you said you were overwhelmed. Yeah. I feel like you can come on campus and like not really have that same standard, like a different kind of overwhelm for like women. So just like keeping that same standard and like knowing your worth, and like don't choose anybody until somebody chooses you, is what I was saying.
I do think it's difficult for women though, honestly, because I mean, dudes don't be ready, bro. They be immature, bro. Be young turn, like you said. And you know what I'm saying? You only go to college once, so.
Okay, now moving on to the next question. According to the HBCU Buzz, women outnumber men on a plethora of HBCU campuses. How do you men feel about that? And do you feel as though we need to have a conversation of where are our black men going?
I feel like one of the reasons is we don't have enough black men in the classrooms teaching. Because a lot of times what you see is like, you know what I'm saying, like what you'll go and do. So I feel like, and I can speak for myself, I went to an all-black school for had maybe 2 black male teachers in like my whole schooling. So it's like, I feel like once that starts to change, then we start to be the change that we want to see.
One thing I can say about this topic as well is just like, As a kid, like you look up to those that like are in front of you. So like the older people that you see are like the ones that you kind of like mimic. You know what I'm saying? Like as a child, you don't really know. You know, you're trying to figure out what right from wrong. But if you see somebody else like as like a guardian or something, you're gonna want to do what they want to do. But if you don't see black doctors, black nurses, black lawyers, black anything, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not gonna know. Well, yeah, this is what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like with white people, like they have their parents who are doctors, lawyers, you know what I'm saying, architects, like they have that influence and they have that guidance from their parents to like live something to live up to. But in a black household, you don't really have that. You have some that work at a grocery store. You have some that are like just, you know what I'm saying, like low budget jobs and stuff like that. And not saying that there aren't any black parents that like have successful jobs, but if you want to really compare numbers, it's not a lot. So if you want to make a change, you got to start in the household. Like we have to get black kids into schools, into college, graduate college, into better fields to where their kids can have something to look up to as well.
You want to say something?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say a lot of it is not just also inspiration. Like that's the other side, but I also think a lot of it is socioeconomic status. Like we can't afford to go to school, and the school system currently does not support young black boys to a point that gets them to go to school for free, or you know what I mean? So a lot of it is, yeah, girls are going to school and boys are going where they either can afford to go or they're not going at all.
Oh, my fault. Yeah, I wanted to kind of piggyback off everybody. I think it's important to push the narrative as a black man. With me, I know growing up, I was surrounded by a lot of successful black men, and my parents always definitely made it known to be educated. And I think at a young age, just, you know, not really knowing or only knowing what you know, if you're surrounded by people or black men at that are successful, it kind of pushes you to step out of your comfort zone and become successful as well. So I think we need to first like be the change. Like, you know what I'm saying? For me, I personally wanted to be, you know, successful, and then once that success is there for me, outreach to younger kids and start them younger. And just push the narrative of, you know, a black man in today's society and change that narrative.
Okay, yeah. To piggyback on Jaden and socioeconomic status, I will say like the backbone of being a man is providing security and providing protection for their family. And so a lot of black people who are kind of stuck in the rut of being lower middle class, like Jaden said, can't afford it. But the woman is kind of going to be more supported in going to college because they're not seen to protect and provide for their family. And sadly, we are also, us group of individuals, even with our differences and our shortcomings, we also are more privileged than a lot of black people. So we're coming from an angle that we don't even understand some struggles that black people face. But just from my hometown and things like that, I was not seeing people go to private universities and things like that. They have to work to live. And if they can't live, it's just like, college is not even, you know, in the forefront of my mind. So I feel like being a man and wanting to provide for his family and his siblings and things like that, especially if his mother is single, because we also have a lot of single mothers and not two-parent households and things like that, it's a different agenda in life. And it's not just getting education to get to the top, maybe just how hard can I work, but that's a cycle, you know.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna come from a different angle. So I know she had mentioned it being HBCUs. I'm an athlete as well. Well, I'm an athlete, so I know that a lot of black athletes tend to go to PWIs because at PWIs you have better training resources, better rehabilitation, and just better coaching staffs altogether. So I don't think it's necessarily black people not going to college, period. It's more so they're going to the colleges that are giving them the money. The HBCUs aren't giving the money, if I'm being real. They're not. The PWIs are. They're excelling. And then you see the guys who, or the African-American males who do go to those PWIs, they end up in the NFL. That's $1 million right there. So I would go to a PWI as well. Sadly, it decreases the numbers on HBCUs, but I think that's where most of our black men are going because they are so talented in those athletics. So yeah.
And that's something I'm actually passionate about in my own community. I feel like one thing that we do that we could do better at is encouraging young black men to have an interest in more things than just being the star athlete, if that makes sense. Because the sad reality is that less than 1% actually make it to professional. You know what I'm saying? So like really less than 5% make it to Division I college and stuff like that. So I know personally like more than a handful of people that had hoop dreams or star football team in high school, but didn't get any offers. So then they lost their motivation to go to school at all. So when you're growing up, when you're good at sports, you know what I'm saying, your family pushes you thinking that you're going to make it out, thinking that you're going to be this. And because of the statistics, you just might not. And when you don't, you have no backup plan. So I think we have to do a better job of pouring into the youth in more than just an athletic reach for the stars, NBA, NFL type of thing. Like teach them the importance of maybe being like a sports lawyer or a sports trainer and stuff like that. Like careers that are more sustainable that might lead them to even want to go to college. Because some people don't want to go to college if it's not for sports, especially when it comes to black men.
I'm moving on into the next question. So since everyone here is Greek, there's a saying that says to never trust a Greek in their neo season. So what's everyone's thoughts on that statement?
Personally, I feel like the statement varies. Out of my neo season, I feel like I was kind of very focused on like what I wanted to do. I got my first internship when I got off. You know what I mean? I had like my highest GPA was when I got off, so I was really focused. Like after I was done, you know, when I was online or whatnot. But I feel like it's all just depending on who you are as a person and what your goals are. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're really focused on what you want to do, like the letters don't really do nothing for you. You still who you are as a person, and you still can move forward and do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying?
I think something that one of my pros told me while I was online was once you get your letters, it doesn't change who you are. It amplifies who you are, and you can decide what you want to do with that. And so I think it really depends what you're talking about. I think for me and like for a lot of people, like being passionate about like what you're committed to and like the type of impact that you want to have motivates you to be a different person. The reality of the situation is when you become a part of the D9, you do have a bigger platform. Like people are looking at you, you inspire others. And so it's just up to you to determine like what you want to do with that or like how you're going to positively or negatively impact others. But I think I've seen both perspectives. Like for me, it's easy to say that because I'm surrounded, like literally everybody in the room is Greek. So like, because I'm surrounded by that, like I see my friends who are doing great in their communities and who are really like impacting others. But somebody who is not Greek may be like, oh, they just have power or they're just doing this, they're just doing that. But I think like noticing that you have influence and like choosing what to do with that can kind of alter or like change somebody's viewpoint from what they just hear when somebody really gets to know who you are. But I don't think being Greek or getting my letters has personally changed me. I think it's just like amplified what my character already was. And I think it is for a lot of people. Like we have been the leaders, like we have been people who find purpose and service. We have been like, no matter what the colors are, that was who we are before we had it. So, yeah.
Just to piggyback off what Nini was saying, like, and just to like restate the question, like, no, don't trust nobody in their neo season. Like, no, I'm gonna tell you why. Like, I want you to sit back and watch. Like, I got all these resources before I got my letters, but now I got more resources. So now just watch what I do with it. You feel me? Like, I'm finna with the letters. Like, some people would be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, now that I have letters, like, this is all I am. But no, that's just like, it's just like a hand. You feel me? That's just one of your fingers. You feel me? Like you can't make a grip. You can't do nothing without all your fingers, and that's like all the resources that you have in life. You feel me? So like, just now that you have more of a platform, more resources, now you have more means to change the world, and that's like what it's really all about. The whole D9 is here to make and do service. You know what I'm saying? So that's the whole goal at the end of the day.
Okay, so as far as like whether or not to trust someone in their neo season, I think Nene really hit it on the head. Like, it's who you were before you got your letters. Like, whoever a person was before they became Greek is going to tell you whether or not you should be able to trust them. Like she said, we've been leaders. We've been people advocating for service in our community. So since that's the case, I mean, there's no difference. Like, we haven't changed, just like she said. If someone has gotten their hands on some letters or something, I don't know, and that wasn't who they are, they might, they might switch up and can't be trusted. But for the most part here on Hampton's campus, like, this has been who we are and what we've stood for. So we're the same people.
Just to piggyback off of what Jaden just said, some people can switch up, and I feel like it's important for people who are in the D9 to just have like a self-reflection check and be like, okay, who am I outside of the letters? Like, I feel like sometimes when we get the letters, like, we're very excited, and then it's like a power trip, and then it's like we abuse that power. So I feel like when you have letters, it's like, okay, I was once somebody without letters. So it's like sometimes you have to, it's like a wake-up call, like, okay, like, if you didn't have these letters, would you still be moving the way you are? So I just feel like having letters shouldn't like change you. If anything, it should just enhance your character.
I think it all comes down to the security in the individual, right? So like, if you aren't Greek and, you are messing with somebody that, one day becomes Greek, I think it can be a bit of a culture shock, especially if you don't know kind of just, how everything goes. So you're exposed to a whole new network of people. And in some cases, people fold. So I think, like, as somebody that's in it, I don't think I'm as fazed by it. But at the same time, just kind of knowing, like, what it's like, being on the outside, maybe, like, messing with somebody that has been introduced to this new network, I would be, a little, I don't want to say like insecure, but like, a little fazed by a network that you're not familiar with. You know what I'm saying? It is a network.
Yeah. What do you feel like it is, though?
Oh no, I wouldn't trust nobody in their neo season, honestly. I mean, let's be honest, bro. It's just you cookout season of the neo season is a wild time. So let's talk about you see a lot of new faces. You meet a lot of new people.
I mean, being real.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot. Oh, yeah. That's the new age freaknik. So it's like, what are we talking about? So like, what are we talking about? Everybody just crossed. Now we in Atlanta. What's going on?
I would say, like, I think you had mentioned earlier when she asked about love before, like, coming on campus as a freshman, it was overwhelming. I think what some people, like, don't consider, for people who, like, just crossed and became Greek, it's overwhelming in that sense too. And so, like, honestly, no, like, I wouldn't trust until you can trust your, like, I'm trying to figure out who I am in this in my new neo season. So, like, I feel like people have to figure themselves out first before they try to figure anybody else out, because it can be overwhelming. But I guess, I don't know. Does that answer?
So I also feel like the answer is no. Yeah. You can't trust folks in their neo season. With that being said, we can also be real and acknowledge the fact that everyone's still gonna mess with somebody in their neo season as well. Like, it happens. It's inevitable almost. So it's like, can you trust them? No, but you're still gonna do what you do, right? So move with caution. Understand that folks just moved into a different chapter of their life where there's a lot of newfound attention, newfound responsibility. You know what I'm saying? Newfound acquaintances. So it's like, I feel like the trust word, I would say no, but at the end of the day, like, it's still gonna happen. Be real with yourself. It's still gonna happen. So just move.
So, yeah, this trust thing is coming up, and I'm pretty sure somebody said something about, like, maturity. I think it was Jeff, like, in an earlier question about coming to HBCUs and the men to rent, like, women to men ratio and things like that. Honestly, and what Nene said, it just amplifies who you are. So if you give a child a bunch of candy, they're going to eat all the candy. If you give a child or an adult, someone who's more mature, candy, they know the levels of consumption and sugar and things like that, they're going to handle it more responsibly. So that's kind of how I see it. It's who you are without the letters. It's not just, oh, I'm Greek, so this, I'm Greek, so that. Okay, you have more things at your disposal. How do you use it? It really varies upon the person's maturity. I don't believe myself or my some people that I know changed with their letters, but that's a woman's perspective. I'm not going to touch on the men, but from a woman's perspective, but like I said, my girls, they are successful, they are mature, they have great self-worth and things like that. So it's just like, even if they have more at their disposal, they're not going to just take it and get it just because it's there. It's just like, it's really leveling out like how mature you are, not just, oh, I'm Greek, so I'm going to do this. No, who are you as a person? Yeah.
Real quick. I feel like when it comes to trust, trust don't only mean like if I'm messing with somebody, am I gonna mess with somebody else? Am I gonna cheat on you? Whatever. Trust can also mean like, I'm entrusting you with this information, but now you have a whole bunch of like lying sisters or lying brothers. Like, can you keep a secret, or can you like, you know what I'm saying? Can I trust you with other things? Like, it's not just about like, can you be only exclusive to me? So I feel like when you talk about trust, it's such a big umbrella. So you know what I'm saying? So I just want people to understand that like, it's not just trust in terms of who you're messing with. It's also trust in terms of like, I just told you something that's really like important to me, like, and I said don't tell nobody, but then I hear my business out somewhere else. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's just other aspects to trust.
I mean,
yeah, which we all should know.
Should. Honestly, I feel like I don't really like just, I guess, put the Neo season on anybody. I really think it's like more of an environment thing. Like when you get off, what environments are you going into? So I don't really just say, oh, just because you're a Neo, you're going to cheat, or you're going to do this, or you're going to do that. I really think it's just like who you're around, who your line brothers or your line sisters might be, and what they encourage you to do. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? When people are watching, when people are not watching, sometimes I feel like the Greek community, we have like our own, I guess, cloak around us where we just don't see anybody else. But sometimes we got to realize, that people see us, you know what I'm saying, the things that we do. So I really just feel like it's an environment thing more so than a Neo season or whatever, because some of our line brothers and line sisters crossed and went straight to work. You know what I'm saying? We were fortunate enough to have the opportunity to kind of like enjoy the fruits of our labors and be on campus and stuff like that. But everybody doesn't get that. So I don't think it's really bound to your Neo season. It's just who you are as a person in your environment for.
Okay. So with attending an HBCU, do you feel all of your emotional, physical, and spiritual goals were met? And what qualities do you feel like you obtained while being here?
I'm not gonna lie, like I was like, I'm not gonna say I'm a preacher's kid, you feel me? But like I was definitely born in church. But like coming to my HBCU and things like that, like just to like kind of re-say what Sean said, like just about your environment, like I kind of lost like going to church every Sunday and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it'd always be a party on Saturday. So yeah, I'm crashing, I'm sleeping in on Sunday. You feel me? Like I pray when I wake up, you feel me? Like, okay, we here, you know what I'm saying? Let us see another day, you feel me? But like, spiritually, I feel like since I've been in college, like I have like lacked in that area. But I try like this, especially like this year, like I've been trying to like kind of get back to my roots and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like just out of all those three, like yeah, spiritually, I kind of have been lacking in that area for me.
You feel all your emotional, physical, and spiritual goals were met, and what are some qualities you attained or obtained after attending an HBCU?
The second part I heard.
Okay, just answer the first one. I'm sorry. With attending an HBCU, how do you feel all your emotional, physical, and spiritual goals were met? So like, for me, like spiritually, like Alex said, I personally feel like my spiritual goals weren't met here. I didn't necessarily grow closer to God. Every Sunday going back at home, it's church literally start from 8 a.m. till like 5 p.m. Here, going to the chapel. Yeah, well, I get up at 8, and then, you get to church at 11, and then evening service and shit. Okay, anyways. You feel me? Anyways, But my spiritual goals weren't met because the chapel for me didn't hit home. Like, it was more of a, I don't know what the word, go to class. It wasn't a word for me. Yeah, it was like a motivational speaker type vibe, and I needed a word. I needed somebody really telling me, hey, this is the word and the scripture you need to meditate on this week. And I didn't get that. So honestly, I didn't go to the chapel. I didn't necessarily find a church home. So my spiritual goals weren't met here. But in terms of emotionally, my emotional like goals and needs were met here. I met amazing people that I can see that I plan to have in my wedding, that I call sisters. I met my amazing line sisters and just amazing people, like meeting you guys through here. So personally for me, in terms of a negative, my just spiritual goals weren't met. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would say like emotionally and physically, my goals were met. Like emotionally, I think I said earlier, like Hampton has really humbled me. And I think it taught me a lot of emotional intelligence. I think like coming out of high school, it was so easy for me to like just say anything. But coming at Hampton, it's like you learn how to talk to different people, what people can take and what people can't, and how you need to be able to not really cater to, but effectively communicate. I think that has increased my own like emotional intelligence, so that like I'm not putting out something that I'm not ready to receive back, you know? So definitely my emotional intelligence has increased. And just as far as physical presence, like you were talking about that, like you are surrounded by your line sisters and your friends and people that are now like your siblings to you. Like 4 years ago, I didn't even know who Alexander Harmon was. Like, who's that? But like now, like he's my bro. Like he drove me here. Like he, you know, like I put like he's gonna be at my wedding. So I feel like as far as physical presence, like I think I have met my goals and like definitely found who like my people are and my family is, and a different type of family that I may not have had before I came to Hampton. And I think that for me is like one of the reasons I decided to go to HBCU, because I felt that before I was even enrolled. And so I think it just, I don't know. They just screamed that for emotional and physical. Spiritually, you spoke on it. The chapel ain't really chapeling. But I think I have, like, with the increased emotional intelligence, been just trying. It made me more curious about my spirituality and, like, how I can find ways for myself to be grounded, for sure. And so I think that's something that I'm personally still exploring and, like, trying to be more disciplined in. But, yeah.
Okay, so I feel like I definitely have a unique perspective on this, because at first Hampton did not support me. I feel like emotionally, spiritually, et cetera, et cetera. Like Harm said, I grew up in a church background where my grandmother has been a pastor. I've attended her church my whole life. So I've like worked in church my whole life. And I came to Hampton, like y'all said, chapel, it was different. But quarantine definitely gave me an eye-opener. I came to Hampton and I lived my life, you know. My best friend is recording and, you know, we've had some amazing times at Hampton. And quarantine really brought me back to Jesus, like literally. And I was fortunate enough to be able to charter a women's ministry here on Hampton's campus. And I feel like the answer to the question is, sometimes when you want something or you need something, it's not just how can I get this, but maybe I can do it myself. So I was like looking for it, but God was like, no, like you do it. And my whole life, it's like, dang, I'm working in church. I want someone to teach me. I want someone to work for me. And it's just like, you know what? God was like, nah, I'm sorry. You're going to do it. And when I say it has held me accountable in so many more ways. Like when I wanted to do something crazy, God is like, nope, like remember who you're representing. Remember who you are. Those nights where I'm waking up real late in the day, it's like, no, I have my delight, you know, meeting and things like that. Like I have to get up, like I have to do this, not for myself, but for someone else. And so when my whole perspective changed and I was literally talking to someone about this, I was like, you know what? I thought it was going to change my life in a way where I was going to get like a revival and just get like a spiritual awakening. And I, you know, a slight did, but it held me accountable. I didn't have a choice to read my devotional book. I didn't have a choice to read my Bible. And that sense of accountability and discipline has helped me. Honestly, I have kind of a different point of view. And I feel like I did grow closer to God, less in a religion way. So like chapel, we feel like it's a little bit religious. You know, it's a little bit traditional. You can't really be yourself. So I said, you know what? I don't like that. Let me, in this organization that I lead, how can I make girls feel comfortable? How can I make girls feel like you don't have to be a certain way to be Christian, or you don't have to look a certain way. You don't have to come in here with the dress code. Like, you can come into chapel or my meetings with a crop top and sweats on, and it's fine, and things like that. So everything that I feel like I didn't really receive, I made sure I poured it in a different outlet to other people, and that has helped me in literally more ways than one.
So to end this series up, I want everyone to go around and say, if you were, well, since everyone's a senior now, what's one thing you would say to your freshman self, or to a freshman that's watching this, or, you know, a high school student that's watching this? What's something you would say? For me, I'll start. I would say it's important to leave an impact. Once you come in or anywhere you go, it's important to know what you want to do, set those goals out, and see those goals through, and really just leave an impact and inspire the people that are coming below you. Yeah.
I would say a few things to myself. I would say, first of all, your GPA matters. So don't play with it. I would also say, remember, it's bigger than yourself. You know, you have a little brother looking up, trying to follow in your footsteps. So, you know, be mindful of what you do. I also say your image is everything. What you put out into social media stays there. And no matter what you think, people screen record, people, you know what I'm saying, screenshot stuff. So, like, your image is everything. So just be mindful of that.
Yeah, I would tell myself, don't let anybody define you. Find your purpose, your passion, and then see it through.
I would just tell myself, because, like, as a freshman, I told myself, like, I'm going to come here and take over Hampton. I'm not going to lie. So, like, I'm going to just say, like, keep that same mindset, you know what I'm saying? Like, you had goals, and right now, like, I've achieved every goal that I came here with as a freshman. But also just, like, what Keith said, be mindful of, like, don't lose sight of, like, why you actually in school, you know what I'm saying? Like, you here to get an education. So all the extracurricular stuff, like, you got time for that, you feel me? Like, but make sure your books come first.
Yeah, I can agree with both of y'all, like Nene and Harm. My major thing would be make sure you're pouring into yourself as much as you're pouring into others. It's great to serve. It's great to be a part of organizations and extracurriculars. But, like, when the rubber meets the road, when it's time to graduate, like, you want a job lined up. You want an opportunity lined up. You want great connections. You want network. And if you spend your 4 years, like, hustling and bustling for everyone else, you're going to leave with nothing for yourself. So make sure your cup is empty. I mean, ooh. No. Full. Make sure your cup is full, honey.
Yeah, I think everything that they said I can agree with. I definitely came into Hampton wanting to just shock Hampton. But I definitely would say to myself, make sure that you set big goals, and don't be afraid to set big goals. If you miss, that's perfectly fine. And also short-term memory in the sense of if you do fail with those goals, it's okay. Set more goals for yourself. I had another thing to say, but I forgot. But I think most importantly, just don't be afraid to be yourself. You're gonna mess up, and if you do, that's perfectly fine. But just don't be afraid to be yourself. It's just how you grow.
I would probably tell, like, myself freshman year to keep going, and stay resilient. And for anybody who might be coming to Hampton, to, like, stay resilient, because to kind of answer both questions, I feel like Hampton has a lot to offer, but it just depends on, like, how hungry you are to find what you need. So, like, even when it comes to religion, you know, they'll have events on Sunday and stuff like that. You really just got to stand on your one. No, I'm going to church today. No, I'm doing this today. No, I'm doing that. Just to stay resilient, not only in what you do, but with yourself and, you know, whatever you do in your daily life. So
I would say show up for yourself. You know, like college is really hard for some people. You know, people get depressed. You know, it's okay to have mental health days. But it's just important to, you know, like everybody just said, like just see it through, keep pushing. Your GPA matters. I will also say get involved. I met a lot of my best friends getting involved in clubs and orgs, so I would say definitely get involved, definitely make a name for yourself, because I feel like you make your Hampton experience, not Hampton makes your Hampton experience. You can't have an experience if you're just sitting in a dorm. So yeah, I would just say get involved and also be comfortable being uncomfortable, because as soon as we get out into the real world, we have to learn how to just put ourselves out there and just put our best foot forward. And I feel like Hampton definitely is good for allowing us to just make us be uncomfortable in situations where we feel uncomfortable. So that way we're used to doing that in the real world.
I think I would tell my freshman self to have faith. Like, I think it sounds cliche, but you're going to have a lot of hard times, and don't question God in those times or doubt him. Everything is going to be okay, and you're going to get everything you want. And even in some cases, not what you want, but you're going to leave with everything you needed. So, yeah.
I would say, kind of piggybacking on something Michaela said, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think I came from just like a time where not being involved or just kind of choosing to do something outside of, you know, something that was more conducive to just what you was working toward long term was more convenient. And so I think like just being comfortable with being involved, being comfortable with being in leadership opportunities and positions is something that I would tell my younger self, just off the strength that, like, you know, as somebody that had like a second chance or a second opportunity, becoming more involved has created more opportunities than, you know, when I didn't. So that's something I would say to my younger self.
So what I would say to my younger self is do what you want to do. I changed my major 3 times because I was letting people tell me, oh, this will make you a lot of money. Oh, this will make you a lot of money. Oh, this what I think you would be good in. No, I truly always wanted to be an OBGYN. So now I'm locking in to be a nurse, labor delivery nurse. So yeah, it took me 3 consecutive changes of majors, but I'm finally doing what I want to do and not what somebody else is telling me to do.
I would tell my freshman self that everything works out, and that's it.
Yeah, good answer.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for participating in this HBCU series. I hope you guys all enjoyed what you saw here, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this with somebody you know. All right, bye.